Autumn, welcome back to the Literature Bug. Today I am doing another fall themed video as we are right in the thick of October. Today I have a video for you guys that I've been wanting to film almost since I began this channel. It's been in brainstorm mode for quite some time. I have not posted a TBR on my channel yet. Oh, excuse me, that's Odin. Alright everybody, this is perfect timing. This is Odin. He is one of my fiance and I's cat babies, and if you can tell, he only has one eye. Say hi, Odie. Odin was at a shelter. I'm not sure for how long he was there. When we adopted him, he had been adopted twice before, and it fell through. But we ended up going to check out a little kitten that we thought we wanted to add to our family, but we ended up leaving with him instead. He is an absolute doll. You guys will see him on this channel. You have seen Nova before on the channel, and a lot of you are obsessed with her. She's an absolute beauty. But yes, Odin has one eye. Can you show them? Can you show them? He's got one eye, and he also has missing hair on the backs of his ears. I think that he was actually attacked by an animal outside that was much larger than him. And now he lives with us. Him and Nova get along incredibly well. They're like new BFFs, which is strange because Nova, as I've told many people, is more of an independent gal. So Odin just turned 3, but he acts like a baby. He's just a big baby potato. Right, Dodie? We call him Dodie because he's kind of like got this Dodie-do attitude about him. Like I said, he's a big baby. He loves to play. He's very hyper, and he's a super loud cat. Just always wants love and attention. And he's our new love. So if you guys hear him in the background, he's very mouthy and he likes to talk a lot. So don't mind that. Say bye, bub. He's got the cutest little leopard belly. Look at it. So cute. Be gone with you, little animal. I'm so distracted by cats over there in their cuteness that I forgot what I was talking about. Today's video is all about TBRs. TBR. For those of you who don't know what that stands for and you're new to BookTube, that stands for to be read. And typically, a to be read list is massive. It's very popular among booktubers to have TBRs that stretch miles and miles because we all are book connoisseurs. We buy a lot of books, and we of course want to read all the ones we get our hands on. But today I sort of wanted to break down the TBR. I want to talk to you guys realistically about what my TBR looks like, how I choose the books that are on my TBR, how much of the TBR I actually get through per month, and sort of what my reading process is like. First of all, ow, ow, Odin, ow! He's naughty and he hurts. If you want to come up here, you have to stay put. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I choose my TBR. I'm pretty sure I have cat hair in my mouth. And that's monthly because, like I said, a TBR is literally every book that I own. But we gotta break her down and we gotta go through in sections, or else how do you even manage? I don't know. I sort of go through a process when I am picking out books for my monthly TBR, and they usually involve the time of year that it is. For instance, a lot of the books I'm going to show you guys today for my October TBR are very fall themed because of Halloween and it being right around the corner. A lot of the books are creepier in nature. They're thrillers, they're horrors, they're mysteries. But like earlier in the summer, a lot of my books were contemporary reads. It was romance and some fantasy, like adventure books, things like that. Things that get me pumped up for the season. And that's usually sort of one of the biggest determining factors for how I choose my TBR. I sort of go by mood and sort of what genre I'm into at the time, though I'm always trying to switch it up and get as many genres in there as I possibly can. The next determining factor involves how long I've had the book. So most of the books that I have on my TBR now are books that I just purchased, books that I got from the library that are on, like, that I'm borrowing right now, or books that I've picked up within the last few months. They're recent purchases of mine, and that means that they're fresh in my mind. How can you forget about them? That's one side of the TBR. The other side of the TBR is usually books that I've had for a long time that I finally feel like I want to get to, or I feel like I need to get to. There's an element of disappointment that I feel when I purchase books in hopes of getting to them and reading them, but then it ends up taking a lot longer. I get invested in other reads, and some of those ones that I purchase sort of get put on the back burner. I tried to make it a good mix. A mix of just got, need to read, but also books that I feel need to be brought back to life in my mind, or books that I've heard about and there's been hype and I've not gotten into yet. The other part of the TBR that sometimes lands as a third category is books that I'm recommended. I'm constantly on BookTube. I'm constantly watching videos, TBRs, wrap-ups, things like that. So a lot of the books that I see other people enjoy are books that I will add to my TBR as well. The next thing I want to talk about is the idea of a realistic TBR. A lot of videos that I'm seeing nowadays involve a overly ambitious TBR for the month, which I think is fantastic. You're pulling out books that you haven't read yet, that you wanted to get to, and I love watching those videos. My only problem, and I think that the reason why I haven't posted TBR yet, is that my problem with TBRs is that they set the bar really high for everybody, and there's sort of this expectation that if you are a booktuber, if you are a reader, a book lover, a book collector, whatever you want to call it, that you need to read 15 books in a month. Fact. I have loved books since I was a kid. All my money that I can dedicate to buying books and getting new books and researching authors and branching out genre-wise. I have always loved that stuff. But I'm telling you right now, straight out, there's no way in this world that I could read 15 books in a month unless all I had time to do was read. That's just the truth. And that's the truth in my life. When I'm telling you guys this stuff and I'm bringing this up on the channel, it's only to tell you how I feel personally, my opinion. I can only speak for myself. I think 15 books a month sounds amazing, but I don't like that there is discrimination at times for not getting to that 15 book threshold. Instead, I just feel like any part of the booktube community, any part of the book community, the reader community, should be praised for any reading that they get done. Because in this day and age, finding people who like to read, finding people who really are into literature and learning, I feel like it's few and far between. I feel like technology's done a lot to that, especially to our attention spans. I feel very strongly about keeping to the roots of paper and books and learning from, you know, experiencing someone else's life or someone else's, you know, reading is reading someone's mind, like, it's someone else's mind power, like someone's ability to create that story and put it on paper. Like, that's a gift. Books and literature are a gift. Not just to the author who's able to put their thoughts down and accomplish that, but to the reader, like 100% the reader. And I feel like if you can get one book read in a month, you're doing something right. Do you know what I mean? So that would be my problem with big TBRs. Now that we're talking about me putting my TBRs out there, I want my TBRs and my videos to be realistic. I don't ever want to get on this channel and look at you guys and say, I read 16 books this month, this, that, and the other thing. It's not gonna happen. And if that's something that you guys are looking for, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm gonna have wrap-ups and I'm gonna have reviews on this channel because I do live one of those lives which doesn't allow me to do as much reading as I would like. I want there to be no discrimination. If you read 15 or more books in a month, I love you for it. I wish I were you, and I can't wait to hear about it. If you read one book, if you read half a book, if you just started a book, I'm also so proud of you, and I'm also so glad that you're here, because that counts. It all counts. He also snorts like a pig, my cat, so that's something else you can listen for. So yeah, when it comes to reading the books that are on my TBR, this is sort of what my life is like. I work a full-time job, which requires me, especially this time of year, to work upwards of 40+ hours in a week. I also have a relationship. I am engaged to be married to my wonderful fiance, and I need to spend time with him as well. I enjoy spending time with him. He's my best friend. What can I say? I also have family that live outside of the state that I am currently in, which means that I travel a lot. And you also need to make room for fun. In life, I feel like sometimes you get so wrapped up in the nitty-gritty that you don't stop for a second and pause and say like, let's take a breath, let's go have some fun, go bowling, go mini golfing, go to the movies, things like that. I believe in it. You're never too old to have fun. Just saying. So my schedule is broken up into a million little bits. And I feel like when I think about where reading fits in that schedule, I think of 2 times. I think if I get up early enough in the morning and give myself an hour, I can read. I also think when I get out of work at night, I can read before bed. Or if I'm on vacation, I could read then. But the facts of life are, when I get home from work, I'm extremely tired. I also am a writer, so I spend a lot of my free time trying to get writing projects accomplished, start my career, research jobs that I might be interested in. I really want to go back to school to get my master's, so doing that is something that's on my list as well. So I spend a good amount of time after work doing those things, keeping that fire alive for the work that I really want to do and commit my life to doing. And reading to me has always been a fun hobby. So it seems sometimes like reading ends up being more extra, an extra thing, like if I get around to it, rather than a I need to do it, like the everyday stuff. Like, stop. And it takes me a bit longer to read a book than, say, when I was in college and I had all the time in the world. Especially because of my major, I could go through maybe 4 or 5 books in a week. I was reading constantly. It was usually 3 or 4 books for whatever class I was taking, and then a book on the side that I was like loving and felt like I could read for fun. But things change, life changes, hashtag adulting. So I would say on average, it usually takes me about 2 to 3 weeks to read a book if I am fully into it. I'm immersed, I'm going, I'm reading anytime I can, at lunch breaks, at work, yada yada. The most it takes me to finish a book at this time in my life is sometimes a month, like upwards of 4 weeks. And that's because I'm only reading a couple of times during the week. It's unfortunate, but it's how it's going. It's how life is right now, and I'm coming to terms with it. And like I said before, I don't think that that makes me any less of a book lover or a reader. It just means that I either need to force myself awake at night, which I've been trying to do, shift my bedtime to like a later so that I can get that little bit of reading time in. And it also makes me a lot more conscious of when I can fit reading in. And also cut back on TV. Brian and I actually don't have cable. We only have Netflix and we use the Xbox for a DVD player. But with that, Netflix, everyone knows, makes it extremely 100% easy to get sucked into it and just binge watch whatever it is, Stranger Things, at the minute, and just forget that there's any other hobbies or things to do. So now that I've gone through the dirty deed of sort of going through how I feel about TBRs and putting them online and what's realistic for me and what I'm able to give to you guys as subscribers and as book lovers as well, I want to get into my October TBR, which I'm pretty pumped about. I have 8 books on my TBR right now, but as I just said, realistically, I will probably finish 2 to 3 of these by the time October is over. Right now, I'm currently in 2. I do read multiple books at a time. I don't have a problem with that. It doesn't take away from the story for me. I don't lose track of where I'm at. And I find that I can typically pick up where I left off pretty well. So some of these I did show you guys in my library haul. And like I said, those are the books that make the TBR for the month because I've just recently gotten them and they're fresh in my mind. So the first one is Misery by Stephen King. I feel like he's like the perfect author to read at this time of year. I did contemplate it, but like I'm saying, I don't have time for that. That book's massive. That would take me like 2 months or more to read, guaranteed. I'm a pretty quick reader, but I feel like there's a lot of like substance in that book that if you miss a little bit, you're like doomed. The second book that is on my TBR was also in my library haul, and that is The Heretic's Daughter. This one, unfortunately, I know I will not get to. Being straight up, it's literally probably one of the last ones on my list as far as reading goes for the month. I love the concept of reading something about the Salem witch trial, especially because I live so close to Salem, but also because witches are an October thing. But it's a bit on the longer side, and I feel like with the month sort of being half over, I really just want to try to make it through what I've started now, and this one will not happen. Next is House of Furies, which was also on my library haul video. This book I picked out for my TBR because of its length. I guess it is actually a bit on the longer side, but it's very, like, it's not a hard one to read. Another tip and trick that I've been using to get more books on my TBR, switch it up as far as genre, but also pull, like, maybe have a memoir. I like to have like a memoir in there, a fiction novel, like adult fiction novel in there maybe, and then I pull a couple of YA. One, I enjoy reading YA. I think it's terrific. There's a lot of amazing authors out there, and because BookTube is primarily a YA community, I do tend to get a lot of recommendations, etc. YA is also very easy to read. I don't have to strain my brain. I don't have to stress. When I read these, they're easy. I can plow through them in, you know, within a couple days if I have the time. And this is what this is here. It's just a YA genre. It's easier to read. I think the content is awesome for this time of year, and that's why I made the cut. I always am intrigued by sort of how an author can separate themselves from the story they just wrote and jump into writing another. It's something I've not mastered yet, but I'm hoping to have that problem, like publish one, publish another, make a career out of it. That's fine. Next book that I have, which I will definitely 100% be doing a full read of by the time October is over, is Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. I can't tell you how excited I am for this book. I just watched the movie twice in this past week. I had the TV to myself. Our has been on a trip, and it's happened twice. I've always loved this movie. I've always loved the story. The Sanderson sisters are the bomb. But a sequel, I was like, say what? My concern is, like, how did the witches even come back to life? Last I knew they were dust and they were donezo. Now they're back. This follows Max and Allison's daughter, actually, which, God bless, so cute. I'm interested to see how they came up with a sequel for it, and if I will like the ending and the content within the sequel itself. This one I'll definitely get to. It is, I would almost consider this one middle grade. It's super easy to read. The language looks like it's gonna be a piece of cake, so that one's gonna happen, so we'll consider that one. The second one that is definitely happening is One of Us is Lying. This book is by Karen M. McManus. You guys know me a name, sorry. One of Us is Lying is sort of a Breakfast Club version of a murder mystery. So far I am on page 80, and I'm digging it. I won't give you guys any more deets. I'm done, because I might review this one on here for you guys, just because a lot of you will be familiar with Breakfast Club and can relate to, like, the content. This is actually our book club pick for the month. Sarah's gonna kill me because she's been done and I'm not even close, it seems like, but hoping to breeze through it this weekend when I have time off. See? Time off. Perfect time to read. Next one that I have for you is also on my library TBR. I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but I'm just being honest. This is what I'm up to. Is See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt, and this book is a retelling of the Lizzie Borden. She probably was a super burden to her family, but I meant Borden. It's Lizzie Borden. This is a retelling of the Lizzie Borden legend. Basically, I'm glued to it. This one is more of a creepy read, so when I'm looking for something light when I'm by myself, especially in the house, being in the city, I do One of Us is Lying instead, and I read this one during the day, but this one's been excellent. Alright guys, the last two books that are on my TBR for the month of October are two reference books. I'm actually in the process, which I will talk to you guys more about in another video, I'm in the process of getting ready for National Novel Writing Month, and that is in November. I'm participating in NaNoWriMo, whatever. When I got my Scribbler box, there was a big deal about that in there, and I have signed up and I am well in the thick of getting ready and prepping a lot of outlines and free writes and character work for writing a novel in the month of November. I'm pumped. It'll be a great challenge for me. Like I said, I've only ever worked on one other fiction project that I actually liked and that I loved, and I did lose that technology wise, so I've been bummed about that, but I have been bringing some super cool ideas to the table, I think, as far as characters, and I'm excited to sort of challenge myself to get that done. I also on the side am finishing a memoir manuscript that I have been working on since I was in college, and so I've got 2 books here that have been helping me sort of think about the process, figure out how I want to go about it, and also get it done. The first is called Wired for a Story by Lisa Crone. There it is. I just dropped my book on the cat. This is a book that I picked up a couple years ago at a Barnes & Noble when we were in New Jersey, perhaps. We ended up reading some of this in the car, and just so many amazing little like things that you'd never think about story-wise. I'll give you guys a little bit of a... You got how to hook the reader, how to zero in on your point, I'll feel what he's feeling, what does your protagonist really want, digging up your protagonist's inner issue, the story in its specifics, courting conflict, the agent of change, cause and effect, what can go wrong, must go wrong, and then some, the road from setup to payoff, meanwhile back at the ranch, and the writer's brain on story. Very intriguing, very thought-provoking, especially if you're an author and you're a writer. I do suggest it if you are in the process of writing fiction yourself. The second is called Having the Last Say. This book is by Alan Gelb, and it's about capturing your legacy in one small story. This is geared towards memoirists and people who are working through like creative nonfiction projects. And the contents of this one include understanding the narrative, finding your topic, point of view, the first draft, the second draft, the third draft, polishing, pulling it together, and go forth in one last say. He also wrote a book called Conquering the College Admissions Essay in 10 Steps, which if you can do, God bless you. I've gotten further in the fiction one than I have in this one. And I also have a ton of other memoir / creative nonfiction reference books that I use that I got in college, and I can make a video separate to that because there are so many that I have on my shelves that I love, and those 2 I'm hoping to finish as well this month, but more interested in pulling different pieces from different chapters and just sort of taking what pertains to me and what sticks with me. There it is, guys. That is the TBR for the month of October. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books on it. I'll only get to 3 with little pieces of the other 2. That's really all I'm committing to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed sort of getting to see how I pull my TBR, what my thoughts are. I hope that you guys saw some books on there that you haven't seen yet or have read yourself. If you have read any of them, make sure to get down below in the comments and let me know what you thought. I would love to know. No spoilers though. No spoilers. If you like this video, again, give it a thumbs up. I would love to know. Yay, nay, in between, that's fine too. I'm always learning, we're always growing, we're always reading when we can. And if you would like to see more bookish content from me every single week, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We have just hit over 100 subscribers on this channel, like I said in the last video, and I'm so thankful. So, be a part of the literature bug, be a literature bug yourself, and subscribe to the channel to be a part of this amazing community. Till next time, I will just throw my love at you guys and say, read as much as you can, enjoy what you're reading over everything. Don't think about numbers, don't think about pressure, there ain't any, and just enjoy yourself because that's what it's all about. Lose yourself in a story this October and tell me all about it later. Guys, I will talk to you later. Bye!